Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of On the Flank, episode number 2. I'm your host, John George, alongside Joe Kirkpatrick. Say hello, Joe.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Assuming people are coming back, we'll
I,
probably retain an audience.
we'll retain a very big audience. I'll tell you that. Um, this past weekend, we had All-Star Weekend. It felt like Overwatch League was back. It really did. We were back in the old Blizzard Arena. All our old friends were back. The casters, the talent, all the best players in the league showed up. It felt awesome. What do you think overall? Let's just talk overall thoughts. Let's start off before we get into results of individual events. Just overall feelings about this amazing event, in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought it was great. It's interesting the feeling, like you're talking about, because we've had it off for so long. Haven't been back in LA for even longer after the grand finals in New York. But yeah, it almost felt like they were trying to sort of squeeze in as much stuff as they possibly could, which was good. That's exactly what they should have gone for. It felt like an entire weekend of games almost, but just put into, or an entire regular season week of games just put into those 2 days. It was real nice.
Yeah,
Well produced, well advertised, I thought. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
I had tons of fun watching it. There's no doubt about that. They put a lot of effort into it too. They did not just throw it to the side and say, this is just the All Star Weekend. They put a lot of effort into the production, into what events they wanted to go on, into like even Atlantic and Pacific like had their own sort of identities, with their like logo designs and with their skin designs and all that. They like really went for a theme with that too, which it just felt like there's a lot of effort overall in the entire event.
Yeah, exactly. They could have gone with, just have all the players playing their own heroes, using skins for their team. But no, they went out and designed just for this event, Atlantic and Pacific skins that they all had,
Yeah.
which I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, with own unique colors. I liked the colors too, really fitting. And
I'm a
even
little
like
surprised. I'm a little surprised they didn't just make it. They didn't try to sell us those skins too.
yeah, they didn't, which is interesting. And
They probably could though. People would probably buy it.
yeah, and they added like Atlantic had like a wavy pattern for like Atlantic, and Pacific had like a classic Pacific sort of pattern, remind me of like Hawaii or like the movie Moana.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, just overall it was cool. And by the end, honestly, like that final shot of just all the casters and production and crew made me like realize like, oh, this is like kind of a farewell to season 1 of Overwatch League too. And it got me real emotional about the whole weekend too. I was like, oh yeah, I guess I should have been watching it with that perspective too. Like this is it. This is the end of season 1 completely right here.
Yeah, after it's gone on every week for 8 months, you just sort of get used to it.
Yeah, exactly. And then you shed a tear as you see the final curtain close, kind of. But yeah,
But then, of course, we'll be back in November. So,
exactly right. Yeah, but that was an exciting event for sure. If we want to, let's just dive into each event individually. We can show our critiques, what we thought. Of course, the first event of them all, Lucio Ball. Like I mentioned last week, Joe is a Lucio Ball expert, and I believe he should be the one to do this deep dive on the Lucio Ball event that kicked it all off. Go right ahead, Joe.
well, I guess first of all, we'll say Atlantic won. Atlantic Division won 2 games to 1. It's pretty exciting. If you watch, if you're someone who watches Lucio Ball, it's pretty exciting. Um, the whole match was only like half an hour, which I don't. I thought it was odd the way they set out the schedule. That they included a lot more time for that than they needed, but it worked out. Um, as far as the MVPs for each division, it probably had to be Poco, I think, for the Atlantic, including scoring Game 3 tie-breaking overtime goal. You should go back and watch that. It was kind of cool.
Yeah,
And then probably Fisher for Pacific. Just you wouldn't think main tank, off tank player would be so good at Lucio Ball, but no, they were they were
yeah.
all over the place.
I agree with those MVPs completely. Fissure just brings. It seems like he brings a tenacity to almost any competition. He's
Yeah.
gonna try his hardest and come out swinging. He definitely did Lucio Ball, and it's hilarious how Poco had never even played Lucio Ball before.
Just about to say that. Yeah, he came out with a tweet afterwards. He's like, yeah, I've never played them before in my life."
But he was MVP. He won it for Atlantic, and that's as Golden Boy said, and a bunch of people glossed over the plan for Atlantic the entire time. Their motto of sorts was no plan, no
No,
practice,
no
no plan.
practice, no plan. Yeah, Sibby
That's-
Oldby kept saying that a couple times too.
no practice, no plan. Um, which is exactly what you want for an All Star weekend. It's not a competitive sort of thing. It's fun, you know. We want everyone to just be having fun, good old time, entertainment, you know. Lucio Ball, though, personally, I last week I was skeptical on Lucio Ball. I watched it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I thought it was going to. It was fun, and it seemed like there was like a meta that kind of evolved as the games went on, and watching these pro players play, like it was actually a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be, and there was tons of strategy in it.
When you don't have to worry about mechanics at all, lots of other things become more evident.
Yeah, exactly. And just seeing how many people they put back in goal, seeing when they rotate and all this stuff, and I mean that I did not expect it. I'll be honest with you. I did not expect these people to be so good at Lucio Ball, but I
If you
enjoyed
if
it.
you if you're trying to do some last minute climbing and competitive ladder, you can go watch that match, see if you can pick up something.
Yeah. The next event was Mystery Heroes. Atlantic also won this one 2-1. What did you think of Mystery Heroes?
I mean, just you could say that about all these events, but I mean, it was fun. It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Atlantic, again, yeah, taking that. Yeah, just seeing some of the comps they ran out with. Like I remember Nepal, Sanctum. One of the teams might have been Atlantic. Came out with two Reinhardts and two Orisas, which
Uh,
even against double Junkrat, which I think is what they were facing at the time. That's really hard to bust. Uh, we finally did see some Symmetra. We did on
Symmetra.
Sunday too, but there was some Symmetra on Saturday and the Mystery Heroes. We saw like, all the heroes. I mean, that's how it goes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they played Nepal and um, Ilios and what was Oasis.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did play the Zhang Tower.
Control maps. Yeah. It was fun to watch.
Trying to control maps, trying to restore some semblance of order to Mystery
Um,
Heroes.
Yeah, I think this proved how good support heroes are, though, and with lots of Atlantic had lots of double Brigitte comps.
It's true. It's
those
true.
those were very good. At one point, they had five supports, I think. They had like a Lucio, Mercy, double Brigitte, Zenyatta,
Yeah.
alongside a Hammond, and that was
Yeah, the hamster just never dies.
yep, that was definitely that was my favorite comp to see out of the entire weekend. I think Custa was on like Junkrat a lot. I think Custa's a great shot caller and a great support, but when I saw him on the other heroes, he wasn't as good.
Yeah. Well, he was playing on a team with five Koreans, so
Yeah,
that,
that's also true. Same with Muma, right? Was there any
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
sounds
Because
right.
I remember
In fact,
So he asked him after if they like even tried to communicate with Muma. Yeah, I remember that now. But yeah, Mystery
uh,
Heroes, that was fun.
yeah, it was Muma and London and Libero.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was fun to watch. I thought it was gonna get boring as it moved on, but we just kept seeing more and more ridiculous comps, and I was enjoying it. And I'm glad that at the very beginning of competitive play they got rid of the ability to have more than one of the same hero because
Oh
there's
yeah,
no doubt in my mind people would be double Lucioing, double Brigitting, all this stuff if we still had that, and it would be super annoying.
yeah.
Widow 1v1. I was super hyped about this last week, and I think it lived up to the hype. I enjoyed Widow 1v1 the most out of any event. They were all the matches were pretty much super close. Carpe Striker was probably the only one that was not close. It was fun to just to see them try to snipe each other's head off. I thought it was very smart to do headshots only as well.
Yeah, we end up with something like the Pine Striker round in the quarterfinals that they were that eventually devolved every round into, they're standing 3 feet apart from each other and just
Yeah,
wiggling the mouse around furiously,
just
trying to hide the hitbox.
dancing, dancing all around. But yeah, some of them devolved into that, but that was even entertaining in itself, right there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching it on Castillo for sure because that was like this very small, confined, and that's might be one of the reasons why Striker was so good on that map because he was good at hitting the closer headshots for sure. I enjoyed that map a lot. And I guess we can just talk about the final for it too here. Surefour ended up winning it all and had the most Canadian speeches after every single time he won.
Definitely.
I like how it was good that it was Surefour versus Carpe at the end because they were almost the opposite in their speeches. Carpe was very cocky, very like doesn't
I
matter
will
what I
kill him.
face. Surefour was like any of us could win. We're all great. Yeah,
It-
we're all great at Widow.
and it's not even our skill, it's the skill
Yeah.
of our teams.
Like honestly, we shouldn't even be on stage here. It should be the rest of our team. We're not even the skilled ones. We just sit here and do whatever. But
You know,
yeah,
I'd have to say the best match though was Surefour versus Soon in the semifinals. Not only just because of the Battle for LA and all that,
mhm.
LA Gladiators, LA Valiant, but then also the game-winning shot, if you remember,
Oh
they're on
yeah,
Castillo, or just so that must have been Surefour versus Fleta in
yeah.
the
That was
in the
sure.
quarterfinals because it was on Castillo.
Yeah,
Game-winning shot, fade away, falling off the map.
yeah. Just as
It
like
it was
because
insane.
Semler and Hex had mentioned that earlier, saying,
But
"Oh, people
yeah, they
should
should
get
get two
double points,"
points.
and then Shift4 did it. That was yeah. That was definitely. I think that was the shot of the night for sure. That was an amazing shot. But I enjoy Surefour winning. I've always enjoyed Surefour. He's been here for a long time, obviously. And he's super flexible and he changes his. He talked about it on stage. He changes his sensitivity almost every time he like comes out to play. I think so. He really cares, I guess, about stuff like that, and he deserved the win there. He beat Carpe nice and easy. I thought Carpe was going to win it all. I think we both predicted Carpe, didn't we?
Yeah, I know I did.
Yeah, yeah. Philadelphia Fusion fan, of course. But it was a close one. I enjoyed it.
One thing I noted was, they played the quarterfinals and semifinals. They played to 7. Then obviously the finals was to 9. But yeah, it was interesting. You mentioned there were 6 quarterfinal and semifinal matches, um, and I think 4 or 5 of them went all the way to 7-6. So it
Yeah.
makes me wonder, on the one hand, if they had extended it, would one or the other Widow have won more decisively?
Oh yeah.
But anyway, but on the other hand, that I thought the length was like uh, appropriate. I thought because certainly if you got much longer in the rounds, it would start getting more tedious.
Yeah. I even thought maybe like 7 might have been a bit too long. And I think
Yeah,
originally they had the finals going up to 10, and I think they moved it down to 9, maybe because they thought the 7 was too long. But
yeah.
yeah, overall I agree with Surefour too, and what you're saying. If the rounds would have gone a little longer, I agree that any of these, if they played forever, anyone could have just like come out on top. It seemed like they were just going back and
Could
forth.
could have been
Everybody.
like 198 to 200 or something.
Exactly. No one like stuck out as like, oh, this guy's just the best Widow by far. I thought Carpe was gonna do that after he just destroyed Striker, but then Surefour ended up beating him. But Carpe didn't. Carpe didn't even come out as like the most insane Widow. It seems like on any day someone can be the best Widow, and that's what I hypothesized from the season. That's what this is showing me. Like overall, it just seems like everyone everyone's the best Widow. And Surefour is right. It's whoever has the best teammates to back up that Widow and position her well. Any other thoughts on Widow before we go to the main of everyone's main event, the Talon Takedown?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But this will be good to hear.
Yeah, Talent Takedown. So tons of hype behind this match, tons of trash talk going into this match. Pacific versus Atlantic, of course. Pacific, one notable man on their team, Reinforce. He's a pro player alongside a bunch of casters in town. On the other side, you got big talkers like Bren. You got Sideshow. And
Was Uber Atlantic? I think, yeah.
Uber was Atlantic. He was also a big trash talking Monty like crazy. You got Golden Boy Malik, the controller console boys.
Yeah.
Overall, so much hype going into this match. This was what everybody was looking forward to. And mainly because of that trash talk, Pacific ended up winning 2-0. Did you expect this result?
I guess. I mean, I didn't have very much of a prediction. Just because there's not very many things that you can put into that. But I mean, it was worth noting that Reinforce didn't carry on main tank. That I assume probably because of his obligations with Team Sweden. He didn't want to show off all his fancy strats or whatever.
Unless you count Hammond as main tank, because you did play Hammond.
That's true. It's true. But yeah, lots of Sombra also, stuff like that. But yeah, they played Kings Row and Gibraltar. Yeah, like I said, you say that about every single event this weekend, but it was a good match. It was fun to watch. They had before every round of every map, they would turn on one team's comms, so you could hear them talking about the composition, and also trash talking as they did it.
Obviously,
showing off for the camera.
Obviously, the best part of the match was when they reported Monty for sandbagging.
Yeah, the Observer, right at the beginning of one of the attacks. Yeah,
that was amazing. Obviously results they don't matter that much, but I did expect Pacific to win 2-0. Honestly, I think most of the people on Pacific were pretty evenly matched with the people on Atlantic, and then Pacific had Reinforce on top of that. So.
Yeah,
I did overall. Helps. Yeah, I expect that to happen. Pacific definitely. In this situation, Pacific didn't practice whatsoever. They were the ones that didn't practice. It seems whoever doesn't practice wins.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And Crumbs didn't even know he was on Pacific. in the trash talk video beforehand, he thought he was on Atlantic. So. Overall, let's talk about the casting first. How about that? Bishu, Custa, Mickey and Agilities were on the desk. Bishu and Custa were casting alongside Semler and Golden Boy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they alternated.
Yep, and then Malik was on the desk. What'd you think of these players?
We didn't get to hear much from the desk, really. A lot of it, was just the casting during the match. But I thought Custa did a pretty good job. Like we were talking about earlier, we still had a friendly Australian accent in the caster's booth, even while Uber was playing. Custa and Bishu, they really got excited about it, I thought. So it was cool to hear how much they enjoyed it also.
Yeah, they definitely got excited.
Like I said, I wish we could have heard a little bit more from Mickey or Agilities, because I'm sure they would have had good things to say. But yeah, it was good. The only other thing I would change about this particular event is that I wish they would have gone to map 3, because map 3, of course, was Lucio Ball.
Yeah, Lucio Ball would have been interesting.
That would have been even more fun to watch the talent play.
Yeah, I think that's almost everyone's complaint was. Make it longer, because this is amazing. So we could talk about why we think this is so successful. So many people point to the trash talk, the amount of trash talk before this game, and the amount of trash talk they allowed all the players to trash talk each other like before the matches started. This event included tons of trash talk, and I think a topic we need to discuss after watching this trash talky match right here: does Overwatch League in general need more trash talk?
Well, I guess one thing I'd say that I probably don't want to have happen is is what they did for this Town of Takedown, honestly. If to take it to the season two and have each team standing in front at the beginning and do like a wrestling style pass the microphone and roast each other before they go up and sit at their computers. That was fine for an event like this, with the talent, but
Yeah,
but to do that, just at a regular game, I feel like that would be a little bit overkill. That being said, I definitely would be, or I definitely wouldn't be opposed, to that sort of thing becoming more commonplace. I think partly it's just the personalities of lots of these players that we get lots of. They're all really polite to each other,
yeah,
right? Lots of good game. Oh, I'll do better next time because I'll just go practice and then we'll win. And um, there's places for that, but there's also places for, say, people saying, "I'm the best tracer in the world."
yeah.
There's, yeah. I certainly wouldn't be opposed to, that spreading around a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this guy later in the podcast, but I go back to a time when Mr. XQC was in the Overwatch League, and I remember Muma and XQC trash talking each other back in stage one. And I think big personalities like XQC definitely make trash talk more widespread around the league. Of course, XQC ended up not being in the Overwatch League, and I think things did calm down on the trash talk front for sure. But I think things like that and rivalries like that are just going to happen naturally as the league moves on and as it grows bigger. But yeah, players, I can't remember who specifically tweeted about, it was someone on the San Francisco Shock, I think, tweeted about how no one wants to trash talk because everyone practices in the same facility, and there's a chance that you end up in the urinal next to the person you trash talked
I
to.
remember seeing that. Might have been like Dante or something.
Yeah, I can't. It was someone on the San Francisco Shot for sure, but yeah, I think the casters have warmed these players up, and this event hopefully has warmed these players up to more trash talk because there are definitely personalities in this league that would like to trash talk more. Carpe for one, and Fissure. I think those two would love some more trash talk. Sabiel B has always been a trash talker. I mean, they're all out there. They just need, maybe they just need an event like this to say, hey, it's okay to do this, you know. But don't do it to the extent XQC did and get suspended. Obviously,
Yeah.
we'll talk more about that later. But yeah, overall, Overwatch League always could use some more trash talk. I agree with you though. That would be very awkward if they were forced to trash talk before every game or something like that, because not everybody's a trash talker. So just naturally let it happen.
Yeah.
All right, next was lockout elimination. I did not know what to. We both didn't know what to expect going into this because we had never seen anything like it. This is the one event I was kind of like meh on, honestly.
Yeah, I think I'd agree.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I would like some more indication of which heroes are now locked out, which heroes can they not play, and stuff like that. It was just hard to keep track of it yourself, kind of, I guess.
Yeah.
So that part just didn't matter as a spectator to me.
Yeah, the talent was trying to help out with a little bit with that, but there's only so much, so many times you can say, "Oh, well, they used Lucio, so I guess they can't do that anymore," before it
Yeah.
kind of gets old.
Oh yeah, and it would have been hard to fit on the screen somewhere, say all these heroes are gone or something.
It's true.
But it was still fun to watch and interesting to watch, and Sabiel B was in this match too, right? I think
I
Sabiel B
think
was having
so.
fun.
Yeah, he was
Sabiel
playing.
B was having fun all weekend, so that just
Definitely.
made things enjoyable. Pacific ended up winning this one, and Pacific ended up winning Widow 1v1, so they took that day overall, if you could say that, I guess. They won 3
Yeah.
to 2 in a reverse sweep fashion.
Yeah.
But yeah, lockout elimination, that was it was a fine game mode. It was I don't know. It was very similar to Mystery Heroes to me because we couldn't see the lockout strategy part of it as a
Yeah.
spectator, really.
Oh, going back to Mr. Heroes for a second, I just remembered that at one point we had might have been like Gesture or something. Going back to look at their yeah, Gesture, I think, trying to jump off the map to change his hero.
Oh yeah,
For that, yeah.
yeah, yep.
But you
You
can't do
cannot
that.
do that. You informed me of that last week as well. You cannot do that. Yeah, but lockout, and also like I predicted last week, lockout. There was no like was rarely like 1v1s or something like that to end a round. You know, it was always just like one team kind of dominated.
Yeah,
And you would see it there very often. You'd be like, "Oh, there's this one guy versus five people," and then it would be like, "It's Overwatch. There's no way he's going to do that.
exactly.
This isn't
They'd
CS:GO."
they'd just be off hiding somewhere on the map, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Ever the caster would be like, "Oh, can he do it?" Like, no, he cannot do that.
Well, and also we had Mickey spamming voice lines like that entire
Oh my
round,
god,
so
yeah, that's so
that
annoying.
that was the thing.
Just spamming it the entire time.
Hard work
Um,
pays off.
yep. And then the next day was the actual All Star game. Um, what'd you think of the All Star game? I know I wasn't too hyped about it, but what'd you think?
I thought it went pretty well. You know, for the show match that it was, I thought it went pretty well.
Yeah.
I thought, you know, both teams were taking the opportunity, you know, have some fun with their compositions, have some fun with their rosters. I mean, from Atlantic, we saw six supports for a round. We saw six DPS for a round. We saw six tanks for a round.
Yep.
On the Atlantic side, I don't know if Pacific ever did something like that, but
Pacific only did all Los Angeles Valiant.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, they had one of the maps. It was just there when they played Rialto. It was just LA Valiant versus the Atlantic Division.
Yep.
Um, which also, yeah, they played Rialto. That was cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Because we haven't seen that in Tier One Pro Play before. They also obviously were playing on the Hammond patch this whole weekend, so that was cool.
Hmm.
I don't know if that was with the support changes included. I didn't actually check. I think it must have been because they were playing lots of Ana.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was cool to watch. Atlantic, like we said, won it. Took that 4-0, 4-1. Um, so yeah, they actually had clinched it by the completion of Ilios, but they went ahead and took it to a fifth map as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, just fun times to watch. That's about all you can say.
Yeah. I was glad that they didn't like limit it to four maps or three maps. They
Yeah,
extended it to all five maps because I was like, those people that bought tickets to the arena today are not going to be excited if this is
yeah.
a three
They
map
play for
game.
90 minutes and then leave.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I agree. For the show match, it was fun. The players definitely tried to entertain us, and that's what you always hope for in an all star game for sure. And a lot of people, even in sport all star games, argue like they should just completely make it like not for anything at all because a lot of all star games have it so it's very serious, and if you win this, you get home field advantage in the World Series or whatever. And I'd like it. I'd like it so more All Star games are like this, just for fun, so the players can just like goof off and stuff like that. Because there were tons of players that came into today saying this doesn't matter at all. I'm just gonna kind of be funny and entertain
We
people.
we had Muma playing Symmetra seriously,
Yeah.
so that was
Oh.
cool. Well, as seriously as you can get, but not in Mystery Heroes. He deliberately picked
He chose.
Symmetra.
Yeah.
So
Chose Symmetra. Symmetra All Star Weekend was a success.
it's true.
But I
We
gotta say,
achieved
there
it.
was more Torb. There was more Torb this weekend than Symmetra.
We had the very first ever nano boosted Torb hammer kill in the
Yeah.
Overwatch League.
We
Go
made
watch
history.
go watch Ilios Well. If that's the one map of this game, you go watch Ilios Well, so you can watch the nano boosted hammer Torb kill.
History was made. All right.
Good old Captain Planet put up a little sidebar. He says, "Yeah, that happened."
Oh yeah. Overall, as we said before, just a fun weekend. Things like that happened, and it was that as fun as it was, that's a great way to end the entire season, just on a fun, nice, good note, where we kind of say goodbye to all our favorite casters and players for a bit and, you know, round off season one. Uh, the last topic I want to talk about for All Star Weekend is the Dennis Havelko Award. Of course, Internet Hulk unfortunately passed away, and Blizzard has been so nice to honor his name with an award given to the player that has the most positive impact in the Overwatch League, and of course, who else besides Mickey to get it? Very well deserving. And it was great to see him come up there with Monty and Uber, and it seemed like all of them. Uber was really good friends with Internet Hulk, and Monty knew him well, and Mickey, of course, knew him well too, because Internet Hulk was the one who recruited him to Team Envious and eventually to Dallas Fuel. So Mickey just the perfect recipient for the first ever Dennis Havelka Award, no doubt about that.
Most definitely, yeah.
Can't choose anybody better. Um, but yeah, seeing that was a great moment for sure, and I recommend. I don't know if you've seen it yet. Up on Dallas Fuel's Twitter, they have a nice little 5 minute video on it
Oh,
to go check
nice.
it out. Learn more about Internet Hulk, more about how the origins of how Team Envious picked up Mickey, which
It,
is it's really a great story.
and a really good write-up as well on OverwatchLeague.com too.
Yeah, yep, both of those
It's
are
called
very good.
Positively Mickey. Is the name
Yep,
of that. So
yep, a great title. All right. Now let's get into now that we're done with All Star Weekend things. This week we've got the ending of two events. First, the Summer Games event that ends this Thursday, August 30th, and competitive season 11 ends tomorrow as we're recording this, August 28th. So let's talk about Summer Games first. What'd you think of this Summer Games? I think this is the third Summer Games we've had.
that
Yes.
sounds right. It's the first one I've been around for.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
but but yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, so it was good. Got to play Copa Lucia Ball finally. It was cool. I placed like low gold, so that was fun.
Nice.
But I didn't, for whatever reason, I didn't. Usually I play enough to get lots of loot boxes, but I didn't really this time. So I ended up with like a Mexico flag and a Spain flag, and that's like all the flags that I got for the player icons. I got the Winged Victory Mercy, but of course that's an old one. I don't think I got any of the new Summer Games skins or anything.
That's still a great skin though.
Yeah, this is true. That's one. It's one of the best ones.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mercy and Diva just have the best skins in the game.
yeah. But yeah, it was good. I mean, new Lucio Ball map for if you care about that, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, the new Lucio map was fine. They didn't it was there was nothing like new about it, right? It was the same as the old one. It was just like a different backdrop, I guess.
yeah, yeah, just different skin of the Lucio Ball map. Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, it was okay. I think there were a lot of complaints at the beginning of the Summer Games event. I can't remember what for. They were just underwhelmed, kind of.
Yeah, and I think just that they were doing Summer Games again. Because if you remember back at the anniversary events, or I guess it was even Retribution event, they were talking about, well, yeah, so anniversary, they were talking about, oh, we're gonna bring back all our old skins, all or whatever you can all get, you can unlock them, you can buy them all during the anniversary event, and people were, hoping that that would meant that they were gonna um, come up with some new events, right?
Yeah.
To, that we wouldn't do summer games necessarily this year, or we might, the Christmas event will always have that, Halloween event will always have that, but change up summer games or change up something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think partly people were just disappointed that that didn't happen, but
Yeah. I agree with that. From the beginning, Summer Games was the first ever event that Overwatch held. Ever was Summer Games. I remember it, and I remember them announcing like because everyone was upset at how much these skins cost. And they were like, well, we want them to be rare. We want like not everyone in the game to have these skins. And then they finally announced, oh, well, this isn't going to be the first time this event happens. They might come back, and that's when I was like I don't know. I kind of want these skins to be rare, and I also don't want summer games to happen every year, especially because summer games was based off the Olympics because the Olympics were happening that
which
year.
actually happened 2 years ago.
Yeah, so I was like, well, just bring it back every 4 years because that's every the Olympics happen every 4 years.
It's true.
But they were like, no, we're gonna do it every year, and that's when I got very sad because I was like, well, I want like different events and I want different skins, and overall at the time the skins that they were putting in the game that weren't event based were just a lot better in general than the ones from the events because it just limited them to certain skins, I think. But yeah, I think that hopefully Blizzard got the feedback here, and I totally agree with the anniversary event. If you just bring back all the skins of the game for that, and then you can make variety, um, have more variety in your events than instead of just doing the same events over and over again every year because it does I do get sick of that.
Or change up the brawls or something, could come up with, which I guess they kind of did, when they put Yeti Hunt in for this last winter event. But maybe this Halloween we'll see something other than Jokenstein. Who knows?
Yeah, I would love that for sure. Competitive season 11. What do you think of this competitive season as far as meta goes, as far as changes they made? Um, Overall, what do you think?
I guess part of it it's harder to characterize just because of the lack of uh, the Overwatch League, right? In this season,
Yeah,
particularly playing on this patch, it's so that there's not as much going there. Obviously we've got I think Wrecking Ball's been in competitive at least for a while,
yeah,
uh, and all these new stuff, support changes, those sorts of things. Widow got a slight nerf. I don't know if that's how much that's going to do at the pro level really, but uh, trying to take care of that double sniper that was really common there at the end of the Overwatch League season.
yeah,
Um, yeah, still, we're trying to feel out still, the way Hammond's going to fit in, the way uh, some of these new comps are going to work out. But I think definitely by this next season 12, that'll be a lot more solidified for sure.
yeah. I enjoyed the meta of the summer. Actually, so overall with Overwatch, I've always watched Overwatch. I've been on and off as a player, and this summer I really got back into it, especially I think like mid July. Yeah, mid July. I got back into competitive, and I've been playing consistently since then, and I've been really into it, really enjoying it. I've been playing some Zenyatta, and I'm a diva player, and diva has almost always been in the meta. So as a diva player, I almost never complain about the meta, which is an issue for me, I guess. Because when Brigitte first came in, I was upset because it was a counter to I was just getting stunned constantly as diva, so I didn't like that. That was like probably the first change I was like upset about as a diva main, but diva's always been viable. There's nothing I can complain about. Um,
And talking about well, an uncertain meta is a good meta, really.
yeah,
Talking about that, if there isn't, the one composition that everybody runs, that's the way I think Blizzard is trying to go for it every season. So
and I think that's this meta. I don't think there is a certain strategy that works super well.
yeah, except for maybe exploit the Hammond bugs while they're still around.
Yeah, that's a great strategy. I love that strategy. But yeah, Hammond at lower ranks where I'm at right now, Hammond is like I feel like Hammond's harder to deal with. No one, he's got a lot of health, a lot of. It's probably just as a diva player I can't deal damage to him, but
Yeah.
uh, yeah. Overall, I enjoyed competitive season 11. I don't think competitive has been as far as changes goes. It's been pretty stable as far as how ranking up works and stuff like that. So, and I think it's consistently been pretty good. And I think the meta is pretty good. So I just bring me season 12 as soon as you can because I want to get back on comp. Let's get into the news now. We've got some news from this past week. Next episode will be exclusively news, as we don't have any events this weekend or this week. Uh, but news, XQC. Let's start out with our man XQC. Of course, if you didn't hear on stream one of XQC's accounts, they got banned for abusive chat.
Just a little over 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like a 15-day ban or something like that. But yeah, he got banned in game, and to play, he's on the World Cup, Canadian World Cup team, and to play in the World Cup, you have to have your account has to have a good standing, and I believe it has ended. It has ended now yesterday. His ban
Yeah.
in game has ended now yesterday, so technically it is in good standing by the time that they play, which is in 2 weeks. And yeah, the Overwatch World Cup just issued a warning to XQC. Nothing more than just a warning saying there's a rule in here that if your account isn't in good standing, then we're not going to let you play. Just a warning, you know.
Yeah.
How do you think? What do you think about how Blizzard, Overwatch World Cup, Overwatch League? What do you think about how they've handled XQC and Felix's his bans and all his suspensions so far?
I don't know. I guess it's not surprising. I think in general, Blizzard would be interested in him playing in, things like the Overwatch World Cup, or the Overwatch League, um, because of all the people that follow him, giant Twitch following, giant social media following, and I think for that reason, um, they would be at least a little bit hesitant to completely ban him from the league or completely do any of this. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Then again, to do that would really remove one of Team Canada's tanks. Also, put them in an awkward position with Note and Chain. I guess would be their two tanks. Uh, yeah, I guess I'm not surprised really overall. I know when they were playing, Team Canada versus Team Australia had a show match that they did. You can go watch that on Jane's YouTube channel. But he was competing, I guess, on one of his alt accounts, which of course is called Banned Player. So thought that was
Of
interesting.
course. Yeah, great
But
name, great
yeah,
comedic name there. Yeah. Overall, I personally think Blizzard, Overwatch League, all these organizations have handled XQC very cautiously and very well. They obviously would love it if XQC could be a part of the Overwatch League or a part of the Overwatch World Cup. He brings in a lot of viewers. He brings in a lot of hype. He has tons of fans. But they're just being fair. They're not going to treat him like he's any better than anybody else. If he makes a mistake, he's gonna get suspended. He's gonna get fined. And they're always giving him chances. You know, they're never just like, you cannot play in Overwatch League or you cannot play in Overwatch World Cup ever again or anything like that. He's never done anything to that offense. They've given him, I believe both times they gave him 4 game suspensions for both of his offenses in Overwatch League. It was just that Dallas ended up dropping him, and Dallas ended up suspending him for longer at first and then dropping him, I think. And yeah, just overall, the XQC was just too much to handle for Dallas, really, and I don't blame them if one of their best players is getting suspended all the time. But overall, I think Blizzard has always been had the mindset of XQC. If you behave like we want you to play, so just behave, basically.
but the question is that attainable? So
That
so
is,
we'll see. We'll see.
I do, based off what XQC has said. He said he's gotten a lot of offers already. I do expect XQC to be in Overwatch League next season if he
Yeah.
wants to be. So we'll see if he can do it. Speaking of Overwatch League, let's move into some Overwatch League news. The San Francisco Shock announced on August 22nd. I think they're the first team to announce them dropping players. They're dropping 3 players: Nomi, Dehak, and IDDQD. All
If
three.
if you don't count London, there at
Oh,
sort of the end of
London.
the season. But yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, first off season,
yeah.
off season dropping, releasing of players. Nomi, Dahak, IDDQD. You surprised at all by these players?
Not necessarily. I mean, they've got pretty well worked out on their support line. With Moth and Sleepy.
Yep.
They playing them lots here at the end of the season. I mean, it's one of those things. You're always trying to improve your roster. I mean, IDDQD played like one map all
Yeah.
season.
Yep.
For that reason, I wouldn't be surprised if Fusion releases Joe Meister too. Um, but it's a different team. But
Yeah.
yeah, I can't say I'm surprised really. I'll have to see if they bring in uh, any additions
Yeah. We'll see.
to replace them.
We'll see if this confirms them like re-signing all the players that they haven't mentioned here, or what that means for the rest of the players. But
Yeah,
IDDQD, I expected that one. It's they just never gave this guy a chance. And to be fair, they have really good DPS players.
yeah,
But Dante and Architect very good. But IDDQD's been here since the very beginning, since beta. But he's never been like an outstanding player necessarily. So I expected him to be in Overwatch League, but his role was also expected. Everything that's happening to him, I expected at this point. Nomi and Dahak. Yeah, Dahak was well known as probably the worst Mercy player in the game in Stage 1, and he got replaced by Moth. He's a good Lucio player, but overall Mercy is just more meta. And all three of these are expected. We'll probably have 6 more teams this season, so hopefully these 3 players can get a chance with those 6 teams. There's more spots in the league available. IDDQD could possibly be in the starting lineup. Who knows? But speaking of these people being released, Dallas, Mr. Hastro, has announced himself that news about their offseason, Dallas Fuel, and changes will begin to roll out this week that we are speaking of right now. Which, if we go back to my favorite article written on OverwatchLeague.com, titled "So You Want to Build a New Roster," it includes all the key dates for us of the off season. And September 9th is when the inaugural season agreements officially end. And any players that are not under contract are going to become free agents on September 9th. That is about 2 weeks from now. So I do expect from this Dallas announcement, from the San Francisco announcement last week, I do expect, now that the All-Star Game's over, now that we don't have any competition until about September 7th, is when the All-Star is and NA Contenders is. I expect some re-signing to happen, some releases to happen, maybe some trades to happen. Because September 9th, if you do not have your players under contract, they will become free agents and will be open to the expansion teams to sign first. In this upcoming week, do you have any predictions?
Hmm. Oh, I guess I already mentioned one. Probably Joe Meister's going.
Yeah,
I hate to say it, because again, Philly's the team I know best. But I hate to say it, they're probably going to have to drop. Well, I don't know, they might not, but they're probably going to have to drop one of their DPS players too, whether that's Shadowburn or Snillo. Um, Probably Shadowburn, honestly, which is a shame because we've seen how good he is.
yeah,
Um, as far as other teams go, I don't know. Nothing comes to mind really at the moment. I'm sure. We talked about Dallas. I'm sure Dallas is going to make some big changes. I'm sure Seoul is going to make some big changes.
yeah. All eyes are
Um,
on teams like Seoul, Dallas, San Francisco.
Shanghai.
Yeah, Shanghai, like Houston, these teams that didn't make the playoffs last year. All eyes are on them because they're going to
Yeah.
have to. Well, right now is more of a, if they're going to obtain new players, then it's going to be a trade. But right now, it's going to be all about choosing who they re-sign because free agency doesn't start until October for these teams that we currently know of. So they can't sign any free agents from anyone else. It'll be a trade or something like that. But I think the biggest thing right now is signing players from their affiliated contenders teams for either those two-way contracts that we heard about, where they can play in both contenders and Overwatch League, or for a full Overwatch League contract or something like that. Because if they don't sign them to either of those, I believe that they're just free agents in general for
Yeah.
any team to sign. So
But and thank you for reminding me about that because yeah, again, speaking as the Philly Fusion person, yeah, I can expect who are you's going to come on, probably take Shadowburn's spot in the roster. I would think
yeah,
actually,
yeah, probably.
from Fusion University. They're both projectile DPS players primarily. Who are you's got an amazing Genji, so I wouldn't be surprised at that at all.
Yeah, so I expect contenders signings to happen. Those are the big announcements. And I believe in the inaugural season, every contract was just a 1 year deal.
Yeah,
So everyone that they want to keep is going to have to be re-signed. This year they can actually make up to 3 year deals. Actually can be up to, I think, up to four years, because they can add 1 year as an option. I'm not like an expert on player contracts or anything like that, but yeah, you could finally sign players for more than 1 year. So we know that everyone that they want to keep, they're going to have to be re-signed, stuff like that. So we'll get a lot of re-sign. Hopefully, teams announce their re-signings. I know there's been a lot less publicity on contracts in Overwatch League than in other leagues, and that's just going to happen because it's a young league, compared to obviously sports leagues where you know every detail of everybody's contract, which is kind of insane, I guess. Um, but yeah, we'll get some contenders signings as some re-signings, and then we'll know everyone that's a free agent, everyone that these teams are not re-signing, that don't feel are worth it to be on their team anymore. So we'll know all the free agents by September 9th.
pretty
Exciting
much.
stuff.
Yeah.
Besides that, on the news front, Overwatch League and Twitter announced a multi-year content deal. So I actually didn't see it. It was supposed to be getting with All-Star Weekend. Did you check up on anything? It's supposed to like make it so highlights or either real time highlight clips from All Star Weekend and all this stuff are supposed to be uploaded to Twitter very easily, and they're gonna have a live weekly show. Watch Point's gonna be on streamed on Twitter. Hopefully, not just Twitter and still on
Yeah.
Twitch. But
But yeah, this whole announcement, I've sort of been a little bit, a little bit hesitant to form an opinion. Like you said, it's not really clear exactly what they're going to do, but yeah, near real-time video highlights. In theory, that's what the Overwatch League Twitter does already.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, whatever it is, evidently there's been an influx of money, which is good for the league, I guess. Or, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see exactly how that plays out next season.
we'll
Because
see.
again, it's
Yeah,
primarily for the 2019 season. But
yeah, we'll see, because it is private. Twitter, their Overwatch League's Twitter is actually very good at uploading highlights, like almost pretty close to when they happened.
near real time.
Yeah, that's what I would call it, near real time. But I don't know how much more near real time you can get, unless they like Twitter has some sort of API or something like that that they can hook up to the observer room, and the observers are like, "That's a good highlight," and they just tweet it out like by pressing a button or something like that. But
Yeah,
I
who
don't
knows?
know. We'll see how much it improves our real time Twitter highlight viewing. Um, there's a PTR patch that was released, of course, at Gamescom. That's what it's called, right? Gamescom. We had a new Diva animated short that we can get into a little bit later, but we had a new map. Busan, Korea finally gets a map, and I think I like it. I like it a lot. It's another control map. Control maps are amazing. And it's the three points on this map have some, they're pretty different, art style wise and art direction wise, and what they sort of look like. What do you think of the map?
I like it, especially compared to the rest of the control maps. Not that not that there's anything inherently wrong with it, but it's a very different approach to control maps, really. Because we got the 3 points. Obviously, we have downtown, uh, where they're playing. One spawn is a PC bang, and the other is a karaoke place, which is interesting. If you play Reinhardt in that particular spawn room, he actually sings some karaoke. So it's I don't know if you knew that. That's kind of
Yeah, I
cool.
did. Yep, pretty funny.
Um, and then the point actually on downtown is super interesting if you haven't pulled it up yet, because it's like at the same time exposed and also really well covered. It's really hard to describe. One complete side is there for environmental kills, all that. It's going to be interesting to look at.
Yeah, downtown. I was watching. I haven't personally gone onto it myself, but I was watching Siegel go through all of them, and downtown's definitely more like a widow-oriented map. Lots of high ground, and it's like,
Lots of high ground on
yeah,
downtown. Yeah,
lots of high ground. The point's very down low. There's like a lot of different height. There's lots of different height on that map, but it's kind of got like a ramp around the point. Kind of reminds me of like Oasis's point, where I
yeah,
can't
like
remember
on
what it's
City
called.
Center.
Yeah, City Center. Um, but yeah, this one is very interesting. The spawns are amazing. You had that like Dance Revolution thing too that you can play in the spawn. Um,
It's true.
yeah, the,
And
lots put into that. Sanctuary is very different thematically from downtown. It's more of a, it kind of reminds me of like Nepal mixed with like Lijiang Tower kind of vibes coming out of it. But yeah, this one is almost the complete opposite. No high ground whatsoever. Um, there's actually no high ground. It's very low. It's very flat. Um, and Siegel was talking about how Goats Comp, the big old tanks, are going to be really good on this map just because of the fact that there's no high ground.
yeah, and unless assuming that they raise the skybox on Busan Sanctuary, because right now it's really low. But if they raise the skybox at all, that means Pharah also is going to be really good on that map.
Yeah,
Not only against the tanks, but just in general. In fact, the point, again, right in the middle of the map, it's got a giant drum on it. First of all, it's a really tiny point,
yeah,
just geographically, and then lots of the space is taken up by this giant drum in the middle. And it's sheltered by this sort of gazebo thing. But actually, if you fly above that as far, there isn't a ceiling.
yeah,
So you can just rain rockets on the point however you want.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's really unique because again, really small point, but then there's lots of space around it too. Like if you think of Oasis City Center, or Nepal Sanctum, or like Lijiang Gardens, all these points that the point is the area that you fight in, that there isn't. Um, that the point takes up that entire room, for example, in Lijiang Gardens, and once you leave that building, then you're off the point.
yeah,
Whereas on Busan Sanctuary, there's it's like in the middle of a giant field. There's so much extra space that isn't the point. Um,
yeah.
that's a change that I'll be interested to see how exactly that works out.
Definitely the smallest point on a control map. Very small. This is probably going to be a very interesting map. Siegel didn't like it. Siegel didn't like this map. But last one is Mecha Base. This one is once again very different in style. A lot more technology in this one. A lot more. It's where Diva's base is kind of the Mecha Base. All the other mechs are displayed here of her friends. Who rest in peace to them. In the animated short, of course. Um, but yeah, this one is another interesting map. I really like just Busan overall and how different each point is, and I think they all seem pretty balanced and they all bring different styles. And I hope that this is a popular map in Overwatch League.
Yeah.
I believe it will be because we've got a lot of Koreans in the league and a lot of people from Busan probably.
Yeah, Mecha Base, of course, bringing in lots of different flanking routes. Like there's even one that goes under the point almost,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool to see. And we have the first example of there's actually moving cover on the point.
Oh yeah.
The three walls on either side of it. The fourth one is open to the ocean, to the environmental hazard. But three walls on either side of the point that actually go up and down every 13 to 15 seconds to either provide cover or not for the people on the point, which will be super interesting to see how that sort of thing gets taken care of. Apparently, there's at least a few small bugs that I assume they're going to be working on. Like you could put a Symmetra turret on the wall underground, like when it sinks down, and then you can't kill it. So fun
That's
stuff like
not a
that.
good.
But
Yeah, that's not a good bug. That's people will abuse that for sure if they let that go through. But
yeah,
of course, it's only on BTR. It ain't in live yet. There's no issues going on quite yet. But I like Busan, and I really think that Blizzard's been on a roll with these maps. I like Rialto, and hopefully I'll like Busan too. It's looking like it's good. I'll like any control map they put out probably. Control's just my favorite game mode. Besides that, animated short Shooting Star. What'd you think?
Shooting Star was cool. I thought, I mean, not the least of which is because that we haven't seen an animated short in forever. I don't know how long
Yeah,
it's been, but
yeah. How long has it
what?
been?
What? Because Reinhardt was the last one. Is
Yeah, I
that
think
accurate?
so.
Yeah. So that was several months ago. Um, but yeah, Shooting Star was cool. We got to hear more about um the Diva's personality, really, because lots of her voice lines, lots of her chatter in the game is all like super peppy. But we see that she's actually, uh, at least in this short, she seems to be a little bit more serious.
Very determined.
Yeah, very determined. She's got sort of the weight of Busan on her shoulders almost.
Oh yeah.
Um, we got obviously included scenes from this new map, particularly from Mecha Base, so that's kind of cool. Um, then we got a big space battle.
Yeah.
If you're it wasn't really in space, but if you're a Star Wars fan, it's like a Star Wars space
It
battle.
was, yeah, it's very similar to Star Wars. I would agree with that.
Uh, yeah, and we got to see the first instance of like a 15-second defense matrix, so that was cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
I really, yeah. My favorite part was seeing like that there were more mechs than just her. Unfortunately, all the other mechs, all the people in the mechs died. But it
well,
was
and I wasn't sure if it looked like they had died or if like Divas they had just like been demeched or something and somehow gotten away.
yeah.
That wasn't really made
Sure,
clear.
they
Like
didn't imply that.
yeah, because on the little screen it just popped up on their face, like with a little repair icon. Like
Yeah, true.
so,
True.
you
It
never
is
know.
Blizzard. It's family friendly. They didn't die. All right. They're
Yeah,
alive.
no one ever dies.
And
Heroes never die.
yeah, and then we got like Diva's friend zoned boy friend
Yeah.
guy. So we just got more lore around Diva in general and the people around her because we only know about Diva and how she's this insanely popular person in Korea, but we don't know anything about her friends or family or any of that stuff. We got to know a little bit more about her, and that's the point of the animated shorts. Um, and I would give me an Overwatch like Netflix show or something like that already.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
Yeah, because these since the beginning, I think when they announced Overwatch, they had their first animated short with the Punch Kid in it, with the guy with the cast,
Oh yeah.
and that since that that honestly made me fall in love with Overwatch. So they should just keep making more of these. I can't believe they took that long of a break between animated shorts. I completely forgot that they did these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, just an episode of On the Flank filled with fun. The All Star Game, the all this news. Hopefully next week we get some more Overwatch League news we can dive into, and we should, according to the Dallas Fuel, we will be getting news from them. So hopefully other teams join on in and drop players, re-sign players. Just give us some news. Um,
We do want to talk about the rest of this PTR patch though. Um,
Oh
Just
yes.
like because there were a few small changes on this BTR patch, so lots of bug fixes, various heroes. Earth Shatter got a rework. It says now will consistently hit enemies near walls. No longer will hit enemies that enter the damage cone after the wave has passed that area. No longer will damage enemies behind barriers blocking it, even if the barrier is later dropped or destroyed. And will always travel up inclines and around the payload. This is described as a complete overhaul to combat inconsistencies. So we'll see how that works with Reinhardt. Obviously, we know Earthshatter has been buggy for a while.
Yeah.
Brigitte's Shield Bash now also can interact with Doomfist Rocket Punch and Reinhardt Charge, so that's kind of cool.
Yep.
It's
She
a
finally gets
little bit of a buff to
punished.
her. Well, yeah, and vice versa.
Yeah. Well, it's a nerf, right? Because she could stun a charging Reinhardt, could she?
Oh, that is what it is.
And now she cannot.
But
She
I forgot. I thought it was the other way around that
yeah.
that
So
Reinhardt couldn't ever charge. But yeah, no, that makes more sense. Yeah, so it
yeah.
is a little bit of nerf.
So if she shield, it's a lot like a Reinhardt charging another Reinhardt. If she shield
Yeah,
bashes a charging Reinhardt, she just falls down a lot like that. And same with the Doomfist. But yeah,
yeah,
a
and then
bunch of quality of life changes here.
yeah, several bug fixes, and then some Hammond changes also that are notable. There have been two bugs. Jane put out a really nice video on this that actually inspired a PTR patch, which is kind of cool. But there were two bugs currently on live. Yeah, two bugs currently on live for Hammond. One of which is his pile driver. If you pile drive onto some piece of geometry that isn't flat, like for example the payload, the pile driver would actually deal damage twice to the people around it. Once when you hit the payload, and the second time when you slid off and hit the ground. That was fixed in this PTR patch, as has an issue with his pile drive damage drop off as well, which is good. Those were pretty significantly, overpowering him
Yep.
uh, with that move. So hopefully we'll be. Jane's concern was hopefully that those bug fixes will be put through to the Overwatch World Cup patch again because we have some of that coming up next weekend.
Yep.
We'll see if that happens. Hopefully it does.
Yeah. I think.
But yeah, overall a good PTR patch.
Yeah, just some nice quality of life changes. Earthshatter definitely needed those fixes, and I think it should be out by in a couple weeks here. If not Busan, if they need to make more changes with that, just these changes to Reinhardt, Brigitte, and all these bug fixes. They definitely, I think they'll be out in the next 2 weeks for sure. So I'm not too worried about it, but as the time gets closer, maybe I'll get a little bit more worried. So that's all we got for this episode of On the Flank, episode number 2. Once again on social media, you can follow me. I'm at JWGeorgeIV, or you can follow Joe at Kirkpatrick_Inc. INC. And you can follow the show at On the Flank Show on Twitter. If you guys want to submit any topics, just email us ontheflankshow@gmail.com, or you can mention us on Twitter if you would like. Of course, if you're listening to the podcast, you did find it somehow. But if you want to find it in other places, it's ontheflank.podbean.com, or you can find us on youtube.com slash my channel name is John George. And I got a little playlist going for that. It is now officially on iTunes. We are on iTunes. I'm super excited for that. So if you've got the podcast app on your phone, you can search On the Flank and you could press that subscribe button and get a new episode every time we release one. Spotify.
The link is also in our Twitter bio for that.
Okay, cool.
So
thanks for putting it in our Twitter bio. And Spotify requires us to have 5 episodes. So once we get 5 episodes up, it will be on Spotify as well for you Spotify users. Unfortunately, we must end the episode on a sad note. Yesterday, August 26th, in Jacksonville, Florida, there was a shooting at a Madden 19 tournament. Our hearts are out to the victims and their families. As an esports fan, I had always worried of a day violence would enter the ever-growing space that I've enjoyed so fondly. It seemed inevitable, and yesterday it happened. With the amount of analysts, reporters, and personalities that blame video games for shootings that happen at schools, churches, and everywhere in between, I cannot fathom the amount that will now do so since it happened at an esports competition. To fight this off, I only ask in this time that as a video game community and a community at large, that we join together not only to support these victims and their families, but to help protect, fight for, and ensure the safety of players and attendees at competitions that we love. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you next week.